Yeah. Okay. So there's a lot to speak. So I would humbly request everyone, and I hope I have tried to make it, little with slides and photographs, little kind of interesting and catchy. So I would humbly request that, we all stay in the loop, so that as the pastimes and the life sketch and the other things, as they move ahead, we are able to, visualize the whole thing, without missing on any important point. So, okay. Okay. So, Srila Sanatan Goswami. We'll start with who is Srila Sanatan Goswami in the spiritual world. In the spiritual world, Sri Radha Krishna are eternally being worshipped by the Sakhis, headed by Lalita and Vishakha, and their immediate assistants, the Manjaris, rather, there are a lot of Manjaris. The two leading Manjaris are Rupa Manjari, who is Srila Rupa Goswami, and Rati Manjari or Labanga Manjari, who descended as Srila Sanatan Goswami. So we pretty much know that all these great personalities who appear here on the surface of Bhuloka to do pastimes, to participate in the pastimes of the Lord, are always, some spiritual, they have some spiritual identities. So this is what the spiritual identity of Srila Sanatan Goswami is. So that's how they are all, great, empowered personalities who come in, to help the Lord to fulfill his mission, the purpose of the Avatara. So we'll see in further as the slides progress that how Srila Sanatan Goswami has played a very important role in helping Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself is going to reveal that. Coming to the life sketch of Srila Sanatan Goswami. So before this reads, there is something which I am sharing, so you are reading out, so you all can kindly pay attention. Srila Sanatan Goswami was born in the Saraswat Brahmana community in Karnataka, in the Bharadwaj Gotra, the family line of the great Rishi Bharadwaj Muni. In the 12th century Sakabda era, there was a great king of Karnataka named Sarvagya Jagadguru. He was a Yajurvedi and a great scholar of the Vedas. He was a Brahmana and had so much influence and power that all kings respected him. He had a son named Aniruddha Dev, who was said to possess the spirit of Indra and the fame of Chandra, god of the moon. Aniruddha Dev was a great devotee and a great scholar of the Vedic literatures, and he had two sons. The elder son was named Rupeshwar. He was famous for his great learning of the scriptures. The younger son was named Harihara, and he was a master of art and science of weapons. Just after they were married, Aniruddha Dev disappeared from this world, that is their father. And Harihara, the younger son, usurped the entire kingdom and took away all power and possessions from his elder brother, Rupeshwar. Rupeshwar and his wife boarded a chariot led by 8 horses and traveled out of Karnataka towards Orissa and Bengal, where they later settled. They had a son named Padmanabha, who was very beautiful, virtuous, and a very pure devotee of Lord Jagannath. Padmanabh decided to settle near the Ganga in a place called Namahat. He performed a great yajna, and as a result, he received 18 daughters and 5 sons. The youngest son was named Mukundadev. Mukundadev had several children. One of them, named Kumaradev, was a very great devotee who moved to Bangladesh to a place called Baklachandra Dweepa. He built a house in a place called Fatihabad because many Vaishnavas lived there and he wanted to have their association. He married a very young and chaste woman, Revati Devi. From Kumaradev and Revati Devi, several children were born, 3 of whom are the illustrious, the greatest amongst all the Vaishnavas, whom we know as Srila Sanatan Goswami, Srila Rupa Goswami, and Anupam. So this is the genealogy of Srila Sanatan and Rupa Goswami. Sanatan, and as the slide reads, Sanatan Goswami and his 2 brothers, Rupa and Anupam, were always absorbed in Bhava Bhakti from early childhood. Remembering Vrindavan, they named the forests in which they played after the Vraja's 12 forests, like the Talvan, Madhuvan, Kamyavan, Mahavan. They called their favorite bathing ponds Radhakund and Shamakund. In his youth, Srila Sanatan dreamt that a beautiful Brahmin boy gave him a Srimad Bhagavatam. Feeling ecstatic, he awoke, but seeing neither the boy nor the Bhagavatam, he felt sad. When Sanatan began his puja that morning, however, Krishna himself, disguised as a beautiful Brahmana boy, came and said, "Take this Srimad Bhagavatam from me. Always study it, and you will attain perfection." From that day onwards, Sanatan Goswami was always sinking deeper and deeper in the ocean of ecstatic love while reading the Srimad Bhagavatam. It became his very life and soul. Every aspect of his life simply revolved around hearing and chanting the glories of Srimad Bhagavatam. So as I was reading this, and I just we typically, when we read the life sketch of all these great personalities, we come to know that how even their lineage is not ordinary. How they as here we see, they have a great, their ancestral history itself is so rich in culture and devotion. So Srimad Bhagavatam was, the very life and soul of Sri Sanatan Goswami right from the very early young age. Life sketch. We continue here. Okay, the Shyam Kund and Radha Kund have just gone down, but that's sorry for that. Okay. Srila Rupa and Sanatan Goswami, as they grew, they were very qualified. They were illustrious scholars of the Sanskrit language and had mastered Bengali and Persian. So this we come to that how they were forced to work under the Nawab. How did the Nawab come to know about them, and how even on so-called material, in material qualities, they were so learned and great. The expert advisors of the then king of Bengal, Nawab Hussain Shah, informed him that if he could get these two first-class Hindu Brahmanas to be his ministers, then he would have control over the Hindu population. Then Nawab Hussain Shah approached Rup, Sanatan and Anupam and ordered them to take the post of ministers of his kingdom. If they disagreed, he threatened not only he would persecute them, but he would also persecute the entire Hindu population. So that's how, even unwillingly and completely contradictory to their, sattvic and Shuddha Bhakti, the mood in which they were forced just to, save the other Vaishnavas, the devotees, the Hindus from the atrocities of the Nawab. They were forced to work, they agreed, and they were forced to work under the Nawab. Although Nawab Hussain Shah was a cruel, merciless, meat-eating killer, he was so pleased with their efficiency and good nature that he gave them massive treasures, built magnificent palaces for them, offered them grand estates, and treated them just like his younger brothers. So that's how, skilled and, beautifully they were doing their duties, that the Nawab was so much attracted to them. Of course, one of the attributes goes to is because of their spiritual devotion and the power of bhakti which they had. Nawab Hussain Shah gave them very exalted titles. Dabir Khas was the title given to Rupa Goswami, and Sakar Malik to Sanatan Goswami. This was not an ordinary thing. For a Muslim king at that time to give a Hindu a Muslim name, even while he was still practicing the Vedantic faith. So it was not that they converted or, they started, no, they didn't do anything of that sort. They were still staunch Hindus following their, Vedantic faith and lifestyle. But still the Nawab was so happy with them. So this was a very great and a rare honor. Activities in Ramkeli. So as we read, their parents were in Fatehpur, but now they are settling down, especially the three brothers settling down in a place called Ramakeli, where they constructed beautiful and opulent palaces. They had so much money. Now, I would just like to pay an attention, and this part, especially when I was reading, it just reflected the amount of material opulence and wealth that they had. They had so much money and treasures, but they always felt ashamed and contaminated for serving the sinful king. So one of the qualities that I would like to mention here itself, which will be highlighted throughout the life of Srila Sanatan Goswami Pad, is his humility. So as we just read, they were always in deep separation from Krishna and Vrindavan and did not know what to do. Meanwhile, in their natural devotion to Radha and Krishna, so this is now in Ramkeli, when they are just serving the Nawab, and Nawab has given them all the facilities that they want in the world. So now they have this great palace, they have their homes, and in their homes, this is all that they are doing. Meanwhile, in their natural devotion to Radha and Krishna, they constructed within their estate what they called Gupta Vrindavan, or the hidden land of Vrindavan, a replica of Vrindavan. They constructed Shamkund and Radhakund and a beautiful forest called Kadambakanan. So that photograph which I just slipped down, if you can read, there is Shamkund and Radhakund. So this is not the Shamkund and Radhakund of Vrindavan, but this is what they created in their estates in Ramakeli. And of course, we know that wherever a pure devotee is, the Lord and his pastimes get manifested. So this is the Shamkund and Radhakund in Ramakeli. They also constructed many wonderful places depicting Krishna's Leelas and would spend their days just roaming through Gupta Vrindavan in separation from Krishna. They would simply cry thinking of the Lord and his wonderful pastimes. They also installed a beautiful deity by the name Madan Mohan. So this picture which we can see here is the deities of Shri Radha Madan Mohan worshipped by Rupa and Sanatan Goswami in Ramakeli, in their estates. Day and night, they were immersed in thinking of Madan Mohan and worshipping him with great love and devotion. In Ramkeli, Rupa Sagar and Sanatan Sagar, two beautiful bathing places that Rupa and Sanatan Goswami excavated, they still exist. This was their life in Ramakeli. So even being here under the Nawab, still they were completely absorbed in devotion. The next slide, as we see, is the life sketch. Further, we are moving ahead, that how Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he appears in a dream. Also in there, I want to mention one point, that when they were in their palatial, residences, at that time they were constantly immersed in glorifying Radha and Krishna. And so much so that they created facilities so that Vaishnavas from all over the country could come to Ramkeli to glorify Radha and Krishna. They built an auditorium where musicians, poets, dancers, and all sorts of artists could come to perform. Scholars came from all directions just to hear Rupa and Sanatan Goswami speak from the holy scriptures. And this all the Nawab allowed them to do just because so much he was impressed by their character. The spiritual master of Sanatan Goswami was a greatly learned devotee named Vidya Vachaspati. He would often come to Ramakeli and spend a long duration of time. Sanatan Goswami learned all the Vedas from Vidya Vachaspati. So being in Ramakeli, he was constantly getting the association of his spiritual master and learning all the Vedas. So moving ahead, now Lord Chaitanya appears in a dream to him. One night, Sanatan Goswami had a historical dream where a beautiful effulgent renunciate appeared to him. This renunciate was none other than the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sanatan Goswami immediately felt his heart overflowing with pure, unalloyed love and devotion. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told him in the dream, do not become too much attached or entangled in this materialistic life. So this is the first time he's getting the darshan and the instruction from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So first he saw Krishna actually, right when the Bhagavatam was given to him. But now Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's darshan is happening here. So he's saying, do not become too much attached or entangled in this materialistic life. You should go to Vrindavan, excavate the holy places, and write Vaishnava literatures extolling the glories of pure devotional service. So now this instruction will be repeated again and again by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So as I was talking, that these personalities, they appear with a purpose to help the Lord. So this was the instruction. This was the mission statement given to Sanatan Goswami by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. To write Vedic literatures, to excavate the holy places, and to describe the glories of pure devotional service. From that day on, Sanatan Goswami and Rupa Goswami were always eagerly awaiting that moment when they could surrender their lives to Lord Chaitanya, because they had heard that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is on Bhulok and he is Krishna himself, and therefore they wanted to surrender his life unto him. So they started eagerly waiting. Rupa and Sanatan write to Lord Chaitanya. So now waiting, they wanted to get some, mercy from the Lord, some indication. So, and at the same time, but they were ashamed out of their, unlimited humility. Rupa and Sanatan felt so much ashamed and regretful that they desperately sought the shelter of Lord Chaitanya's mercy. They understood that only he could save them. So they approached their beloved mother and asked, what should we do in our condition? The mother advised them, you should write a letter to Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu, informing him of your situation and your desire. They wrote a letter asking Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we want to surrender our lives to you and to your mission. What should we do? But there was no reply. They wrote another letter, and again there was no reply. Again and again they wrote letters to the Lord, but there was no reply. Finally a reply came. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wrote just one paragraph. Now this is very, very mystical but very important, mysterious but very important. If a wife is attached to a man, so this is just that one paragraph which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wrote. If a wife is attached to a man other than her husband, she should perform her duties very, very carefully so that the husband does not suspect that she has a paramour. But in heart, she should exclusively meditate on her beloved. Now, Srila Rupa and Sanatan understood the message hidden behind this, text. Srila Rupa and Sanatan Goswamis understood that the Lord wanted them to carry on with their service in the government and await the Lord's mercy. So that's how they could decode, the message given by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Moving ahead, Lord Chaitanya takes a detour and visits Ramakeli. Meanwhile, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, while on his journey to Vrindavan, specifically travelled way off the proper route just to meet Rupa and Sanatan Goswami. So actually, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu leaves with a plan to go to Vrindavan with hundreds and thousands of followers. But of course, nobody can read the Lord's mind except the great devotees. So in his mind, actually, the plan was to go through another route, through an off route, and visit Ramakeli. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was traveling from Kulyagram in Navadvip towards Ramakeli. Hundreds and thousands of people followed him wherever he went, and he would induce everyone to raise their arms very high and very loudly chant the holy names of Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So if we take a quick recap, they were in Fatehpur, originally born and brought up there. Then as they grew, they were forced by the Nawab to work from him, and that's how they settled in Ramakeli. Now in Ramakeli, they are completely absorbed in devotion, but now they want to surrender their lives to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu first comes in a dream, and now he's visiting Ramakeli, and where we'll see what happens. Okay. Nawab Hussain Shah's response. So Ramakeli actually was the main capital of Nawab Hussain Shah's kingdom. And actually the Nawab was very much inimical. He, of course, because he was, wanting to commit it. He was a very cruel king actually. And he committed a lot of atrocities on the people. And he had especially made very strict punishable laws against anyone who publicly practiced any other religion but his own. So that was his actually the attitude towards any other religion except his own. Nawab Hussain Shah heard, but so now the Lord is already in Ramakeli, and the Lord is doing Harinam Sankirtan. Hundreds and thousands of people are chanting and dancing with him on the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Nawab Hussain Shah heard that something unusual was happening. A police officer came to him and said, "Someone has come to our kingdom. He is very beautiful. He has a complexion like resplendent gold. He has beautiful eyes like lotus petals. His neck is like that of a lion. His limbs are like that of an elephant. He has a very thin waist and his eyebrows are like the bows of Kandharpa. By his mere glance, he is intoxicating people with love of God." Just by hearing the glories of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and without even seeing him, Nawab Hussain Shah's heart became so transcendently affected that his whole thought process got, kind of changed, not even changed, just 360-degree turn. And he's Nawab Hussain Shah is speaking now. Do you not know that whom the Vedas call Krishna and whom the Quran calls Allah, the same supreme truth, the personality of Godhead, the cause of all causes, the ultimate worshipable object of everyone, has come to our kingdom to give love of God. So that is actually so by the causeless mercy of, I think after he took so much association of Rupa and Sanatana Goswami. So by that association and plus the mercy of the Lord, he got that realization at least for some time. And he's saying on this day, Nawab Hussain Shah is saying, I proclaim a law that this sannyasi, this great prophet, be allowed to dance, chant and preach wherever he wants in Ramakeli. He should not be disturbed in any way. I will personally torture and take the life of anyone who disturbs him, whether he is a Qazi, a police officer or a politician. Let Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu preach to his heart's content. So that was a transformation which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu got into the heart of Nawab Hussain Shah just by his touching the land of Ramakeli. Okay. So here the photo shows that how the Lord is on the way to Ramakeli. So now when Rup and Sanatan come to know that, okay, the Lord is here in Ramakeli, so they really wanted to, they were as it is, in desperacy to meet the Lord. So first, but they send a messenger. Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami and Anupam, they send a messenger to Lord Chaitanya saying that there is no need for you to stay in the town of the evil king, because they were aware that this transformation which has happened, there is no guarantee how long it will be there, and otherwise he's such a cruel person that we don't know what he may do. So he sent a messenger with this message. But what happened? The Lord was completely absorbed in doing the kirtan, and when he would be so absorbed in the holy name that he would not speak to anyone. So the messenger stood there waiting. He waited all day and night. Finally, he had to go. So he passed on the message to the Lord's associates, intimate associates. But even they could not give him the message because nobody had that, the strength or the courage to, interrupt the Lord's kirtan. So they also waited. But after some time, Sri Gaurasundar read the hearts of the devotees and he stopped the kirtan. And he, without even getting the message, he understood what's going on in the mind of everyone. So the Lord said, why are you afraid of this king? Whose power does this king imbibe? If I do not give him the power to speak, he cannot even speak a word to me. If I do not give him the power to walk, he cannot even walk to him. I have descended from the spiritual world to give the holy name of Krishna and pure love of God to everyone and anyone who will accept it. And it was here in Ramakeli, this is a verse which we often quote, we often hear in, so many times in lectures, that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu spoke the famous verse, Prithivite ache yat nagar adi gram, sarvatra prachara hoibe mora naam. In every town and every village throughout the world, my name will be chanted. This is also mentioned in Chaitanya Bhagavat Antalila 4.126. So that's how, the Lord is having his pastimes in Ramakeli. So the messenger has come back. Now Rup, Sanatan and Anupam are eagerly waiting to Lord Chaitanya, or to meet Lord Chaitanya. So in the middle of the night, Rup, Sanatan and Anupam, because they don't go in the daytime, right? The Nawab can anytime, spot them and stop them from going, and, everything will get spoiled. So in the middle of the night, Rup and Sanatan and Anupam disguised themselves incognito, went to the place where Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was staying. So this is the tree, as we can see in the picture, where the deity is made, the murti of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu under the tree, so, and that small temple is made. So to this very day in Ramakeli, that very sacred tree where Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu met Sri Rupa and Sanatan is there. First they approached Lord Nityanand Prabhu and Srila Haridas Thakur. So that's always, an etiquette. So they did not directly bump into the Lord, just Lord, we are here, please give us your mercy. First, they approached Lord Nityanand Prabhu and Sri Haridas Thakur, who brought them into the personal presence of Lord Chaitanya. In great humility, both brothers took bunches of straw between their teeth and binding a cloth around their neck, they fell down like rods before the Lord. Upon seeing Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the two brothers were overwhelmed with joy, and out of humility they began to cry. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked them to get up and assured them of all good fortune. So this is the first time when they are personally meeting the Lord. Humility of Rupa and Sanatan, as we were talking that. Okay, so before that, there are like almost 2 pages of prayers which Rupa and Sanatan Goswami and Anupam, they are offering to the Lord and describing their fallen condition and how that they are so fallen that only the Lord's mercy can save, and they are convinced about it. It's nothing like just theoretically. Pages are there of where they are praying to the Lord with so much humility. Hearing their prayer, humble prayer by the Bir Khas and Sakara Malik, Lord Chaitanya said, because now they have still not got the name, Rup Sanatan, they are still the Bir Khas and Sakar Malik. Lord Chaitanya said, my dear brothers, you are my very old servants. Please abandon your humility, for your humility is breaking my heart. The Lord saying like this, you have written me several letters showing your humility, and I can understand your transcendental behavior from those letters. Therefore, just in order to teach you a lesson, I sent you that verse about that, the wife and the paramour. I really had no business coming here to Ramkeli. I came just to see you two brothers. Everyone is asking me, why did you go to Ramkeli? No one knows my real intentions. It is very good that you brothers have come to see me. Now you can go home. You have nothing to fear. Birth after birth, you are my eternal servants. Today I give you the names Rup, Sanatan and Anupam. I am sure that Krishna will deliver you very soon. So that was the mercy they got from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Coming to the humility of Rup and Sanatan, this is what is, the highlight of the many other characteristics that they have is their humility. When Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu returned to Puri, so he did not go to Vrindavan actually on that trip. He changed his mind and he went back to Puri. The devotees were very surprised therefore to see him. That for years he has been saying, I want to go to Vrindavan. Now when he was going from the middle way only he came back. But he told them that when I was in Ramkeli, now the Lord, what is the Lord saying about them? I met two exalted personalities, Sanatan Goswami and Rupa Goswami. They are truly the recipients of Krishna's mercy. They have such wealth. They are so learned in the scriptures. They are so powerful and influential, young, handsome and strong. So these are all the opulences which anybody would want, in today's day and age. So, and they have all the things, all of them. And they are such great scholars that people are coming from all around just to associate with them. Yet, they are so humble that they consider themselves no better than a lowly piece of straw fallen on the street. Due to that humility, it is certain that Krishna will empower them. And I told them that Krishna would deliver them from their abominable position. In fact, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to instruct the whole world about the importance of the principle of humility through his dearmost and favorite associates, Sri Rupa and Sanatan. Humility is the only quality that attracts the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And to teach this principle, the Supreme Lord himself personally appeared as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the role of devotee, demonstrating the unprecedented quality of humility. So that's how the Lord is glorifying the humility of Rupa and Sanatan Goswami. Okay. So now that they have been eagerly waiting to meet the Lord, they have met the Lord. So what is now remaining? There is no taste left for anything, in the whatever they were doing, for the Nawab. So sometime after Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu bestowed his mercy on Rupa and Sanatan, they decided to resign from the government service. They worshipped the deity of Madan Mohan, praying to him, please deliver us from this abominable position and give us the shelter of the mercy of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So that's the action plan. What they do is first Rupa Goswami and Anupam, they leave, and then Sanatan Goswami will follow. Rupa Goswami took all his wealth and loaded it into boats. So that is the amount of wealth that they have. It's not just some bags or suitcases or something like that. And loaded it into boats, and not one boat, boats. He and his younger brother Anupam left for their ancestral home at Fatehpur, where they distributed their wealth. Srila Prabhupada explains that the way they distributed their wealth is the exemplary process that Grihasthas should follow. 50% of one's money should be distributed to qualified and pure devotees of the Lord. 25% may be given to family members, and 25% may be kept for personal use in case of emergency. Rupa Goswami and Anupam immediately decide to go to Vrindavan, and they wrote a letter to Sanatan Goswami, who being the Prime Minister, so he was holding the post of Prime Minister in Nawab Hussain Shah's court. So he felt obliged to stay on for some more time in his service. So, that is how devotees, even means he's so responsible kind of, even though he's kind of desperate to meet the Lord, but he's feeling it inappropriate to immediately, leave the service and go. So he felt that some more time and then proper, handover or something, do and then I'll go. And Rupa Goswami also left 10,000 gold coins for Sanatan Goswami in case he needs for, any help. Okay, so now Rupa Goswami and Anupam, they have left and they have reached Vrindavan. They have met the Lord. Now Sanatan Goswami is desperate here. So because of situations, he was unable to leave. But now he has totally lost all the interest in serving the government. So what does he do? He pretends to be sick and he stays back home. But all that he is doing is what we have read. Associating with devotees, absorbing the Leela of the Lord, going to the Gupta Vrindavan, and all that he is doing. So many days passed. So then, the Nawab was worried what has happened. So, and as we saw that he is actually treating him as his, brothers. So he was worried, what happened for so long, he's sick. So he sent his doctor. And, the doctor came and reported, oh, Sakar Malik is in perfect health. He's studying Srimad Bhagavatam at his home. So Nawab was very angry. He was infuriated. He, ran and he came and just walked right through the door. So now here you see the scene. He's just walked in and he sees unalarmed, right? Uninformed. So therefore he's seeing that this is what is going on. There's assembly of Vaishnavas and Hari Katha is going on, Bhagavatam Katha. So there was Sanatan reciting Srimad Bhagavatam. The Nawab was very angry. And he's saying that your older brother, so he's thinking I am treating them as my younger brothers, I am their older brother, they should have respect for that relation. So he's saying your older brother is busy, torturing and people to conquer their kingdom, and you are here, you are just pretending to be sick, you are not helping me. So Sanatan Goswami replied that I will no longer be a part of your activities. You can count on me no longer for any service. So this made the Nawab very, very angry. And he said, if you don't do your duties, you will be punished. But Sanatan Goswami just said, you are the king. Whatever you want, you can do with me. And this made the Nawab all the more angry. And he ordered that Sanatan Goswami be imprisoned. So that's how, that was the response of Nawab Hussain Shah when Sanatan Goswami wanted to leave the service. And that's typically how, people are, as long as we meet their needs, their demands, especially people who don't have any spiritual interest in life. So as long as their needs and demands are fulfilled, they'll be happy with us. And, they'll treat us as brother and mother and sister or whatever. But as long as we don't want to do their, desires which are not on the path of dharma, then the thing they have is but anger. So he imprisoned him. So this is the jail. The prison where Sanatan Goswami was imprisoned in Malda. Malda is a place near Ramkir. So that's where Sanatan Goswami was imprisoned. So Rupa Goswami got to know about this. So he sent a letter to Sanatan Goswami, and also he sent some more 10,000 gold coins to, figure out something to escape from there. So he said, you somehow get out from there and meet us in Vrindavan. Lord Chaitanya is going to come there. Sanatan Goswami, now what was the action plan? what was the trick he played? Let's, hear about that. Sanatan Goswami, shackled in prison, he spoke to the jailkeeper. Now, Nawab being a Muslim, all his kind of majority of his employees were also Muslims. So the jailkeeper was also a Muslim. So the Sanatan Goswami is saying him, I want to give up. You are a very religious man. The jailkeeper, Sanatan Goswami is talking to the jailkeeper. You are a very religious man and very pious in heart. I want to give up everything of this world and become a religious saint. In fact, I want to go on pilgrimage to the holy city of Mecca. That's what Sanatan Goswami is telling. Vrindavan is not different than Mecca. If you facilitate me in my mission, then you will get religious and pious benefits. Here are 5,000 gold coins. Get me out of this prison. So now, being the chief minister, of course, the devotees are very pure at heart, but to survive in this world, you need to, know little diplomacy also. So the Sanatan Goswami is using some technique here to, get out. The jailkeeper said, yes, I am a pious and religious man and I want you to go to Mecca. But what would the Nawab Hussain Shah say when he sees that you are gone? He will punish me. Sanatan Goswami told him, don't worry. You just tell him that I went to the bank of Ganges to pass stool and I jumped in with all my chains and drowned in the waters. You looked for me, but I was nowhere to be found. So, and here, along with the original 5,000 gold coins, are another 2,000 gold coins. This argument was very convincing and he was released from the prison. So that's how he used the technique to escape. Then his dangerous journey to Varanasi. So now he is going to Varanasi. So somehow he got to know that the Lord will be, in Varanasi. Now this journey was not an easy one. Now from Malda, Ramkeli, to Varanasi, it is a very long distance and not like, he cannot go through normal roads. Why? Because, Kaidi bhag gaya, the prisoner has run away. So the Nawab, and plus not an ordinary prisoner, after making the Nawab so much angry and disobeying his orders. So Nawab will definitely send, soldiers in search of him. So he cannot go by the ordinary, plain routes, by buses and trucks and trains, whatever was there at that time. He had to take the secret, the hidden path, which was naturally through the mountains and the forests. So it was a very difficult journey and he took his servant Ishan with him. And what happened is on the way, so now it was night dawned and they were definitely will be tired, the walking and tread through, through mountains and forests and, like jungles. So therefore, then they arrived at an inn, at like a small hotel kind of thing. But somehow the innkeeper, he came to know because he had some astrologer with him and the astrologer told him that these people have 8 gold coins with them. So the innkeeper was like a, dacoit only. So he made a plan to kill them and steal away their 8 gold coins. And so he started talking very sweetly and very, extra, love, showing love and care. So Sanatan Goswami got a suspicion because again now being the minister, dealing with different people, you get that idea that too much, that proverb is there, too much devotion is the sign of a thief. So similarly, Sanatan Goswami got some hint and then he asked Ishan, are you carrying any, gold coins with you? So he said, yes, I have 7 gold coins. He doesn't say 8, he says 7 only. And then Sanatan Goswami says, immediately give me those coins. So he takes the coins and himself gives to the innkeeper. So he says, innkeeper says, you are such a, noble person. So you only keep, I don't want. Innkeeper also gets transformed. He said, I don't want, keep with you only. You are a nice person at heart. But Sanatan Goswami says, no. If you don't kill me in my further journey, somebody else will kill me for these 7 gold coins. So you only keep them. I don't want. You just do me one favor, that you help me to get out of this hilly tract. Because since his hotel is located there, he will have good idea about what are the ways and means to get out of that forest area. So then again, Sanatan Goswami asked Ishan that you have more coins? He says, yes, I have 1 more. So Sanatan Goswami says, you take that 1 gold coin and you go home. Don't accompany me anymore. So he just sends Ishan back. So now he was just a wanderer, an escapist, from a prison, and was wearing robes of a prisoner. He was alone and had nothing. Just he's moving on his, way to Varanasi. And then finally, Sanatan Goswami reached Varanasi. There he heard that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had already visited Vrindavan and was presently residing at the house of Chandrasekhar Acharya. So he went to that house and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sent Chandrasekhar Acharya, go out and some great personality has come. Go and bring him inside. So Chandrasekhar Acharya goes out and he sees that there is just some mendicant and a beggar like of person. There is no, devotee or great personality. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that person, he is the one I am talking about. Bring him in. And Chandrasekhar Acharya brings Sanatan Goswami inside. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu embraces him with his tears of love. So as we see in this picture, the exchange of affection between the Lord and his devotee. So, yes. So now, so Sanatan Goswami is there. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is there in Varanasi. Sanatan Goswami is just, he settles down, he shaves off and he's clean and he takes bath and everything. And then he's spending his days at Varanasi. But then, Sanatan Goswami, as we said, we were discussing that there is a purpose. So he started humbly inquiring from the Lord on different aspects of Krishna consciousness. Who am I? Who is Krishna? And all those, topics. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explains the science of Krishna consciousness to Sanatan Goswami on the banks of Ganges in Kashi. There is Ganga flowing for 2 months. Every day, all day, throughout the day, for 2 months he instructed. And these topics have been discussed in great detail. I have just mentioned the points here. And on humble inquiry, again when we read this pastime, first there is so much of humbling, prayer and which Sanatan Goswami is offering at the lotus feet of the Lord. So on humble inquiry from Sanatan Goswami, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explained in detail the various aspects like the spirit soul. Then he told about the story of an astrologer to explain Karma Kand, Gyan Kand, Kaivalya and Bhakti. Then the different Lord's incarnations. Then the supremacy of Lord Krishna. So these are the points. I've just written in points, but there are pages on this. In great detail, the Lord explained because the Lord had a plan. We'll read further what. So he gave in great detail all this explanation to Sanatan Goswami. And towards the end, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also gave the mission statement to Sanatan Goswami, as he already said once before, and as he's repeating again. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught Sanatan Goswami on the banks of Ganges in the holy place of Kashi for 2 months. Then he told Sanatan, you should write books about whatever I have told you and reveal these truths to the world. So therefore he gave all those details, that write all this in books so that people can know about this. You should teach what should be the behavior of a devotee. So Vaishnava etiquette. What is the duty of a devotee? What is Vaishnava etiquette? What is the behavior of one in the renounced order of life? From all the scriptures, you should understand that the essence of all knowledge is pure, unalloyed devotional service to Radha and Krishna, Shri Radha and Krishna. You should also excavate the lost holy places. Excavate means over a period. Now Radha and Krishna appeared, 5,000 years ago. So Leelas have happened in Vrindavan and everywhere. But over the period, due to the influence of time, the places get covered, and unmanifest. So then to excavate means to rediscover them. The lost holy places in Vrindavan and establish temples. Lord Chaitanya told Sanatan Goswami that he was entrusting him with this mission, and to fulfill it, he should go to Vrindavan. So straight Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told him that this is your mission, you go to Vrindavan and start working. So that is, this great personality. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has, is clearly given him what services he needs to do. So now, Sanatan Goswami then goes to Vrindavan on the Lord's instruction. and where he meets Subuddhi Rai. Subuddhi Rai is a great devotee of Lord Chaitanya. So Subuddhi Rai took Sanatan Goswami through the 12 forests of Braja. He offered Sanatan Goswami a place to live. But Sanatan Goswami was so happy living in Vrindavan that by his own free will, he decided to live under a different tree each night. That is another great characteristics of Goswami we hear often. That they never had any, kind of kutia or something. They used to sleep under a different tree every night. Different tree, not same tree also. Different tree every night. Sanatan lived with Subuddhi Rai for some time. And then he found out that Rup Goswami had already been there and had gone to Puri. So, with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's permission, then he goes to Jagannath Puri. And he tried to follow the same path where, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has, walked. But what happens is, unfortunately, on the path, because of severe fasting and because of drinking some contaminated water from one of the ponds of the forest, he contracts a terribly painful disease, because of which he had sores on his body, which were intolerably itchy, and there was pus and contaminated blood oozing out from them. So he started thinking that in this condition, as it is fallen, in his humility is thinking, and now all this has also happened. So what is the use of having such a body? I'll just go take darshan of Jagannath, and in the Rath Yatra, under the cart, I will just throw my body and end my life. As it is, my body is useless and sinful. So that with that thought, he goes ahead. When he arrives in Jagannath Puri, he goes to the Bhajan Kutir of Srila Haridas Thakur, which is called Siddha Bakula. And he's staying there with Haridas Thakur. And then the Lord comes there during the day to meet. And then when he sees Sanatan Goswami, he goes to embrace him. And Sanatan Goswami says, no, Lord, see all this pus and dirty, all that, don't embrace me, please. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu just embraces him, and all that oozing blood is on the body, golden body of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu inquires about all the devotees in Mathura, here, there, because since he's coming from Vrindavan. And that's how that conversation goes. So then the Lord is Lord, he's sitting in everybody's heart in the form of Paramatma. So then he knows that this is the plan which Sanatan Goswami has of ending his life committing suicide. So the Lord says that give up this nonsensical idea of committing suicide. If one could attain Krishna by committing suicide, I would give up millions and millions of these bodies without a second's hesitation. You can only attain Krishna through devotional service. There is no other way. The idea of suicide is simply due to the influence of mode of ignorance. However, sometimes devotees, when they are experiencing intense ecstasies of separation, they cannot live without Krishna. In that mood, they sometimes want to end their lives. But when you come to that stage of separation, Krishna appears before you. So he's saying, your idea is simply nonsensical, just give it up. Just spend your life chanting and hearing the glories of the Lord. That is the only means of attaining Krishna. And then he also further tells that actually your body is my property. Again, now the mission of the Lord in that is an important point. The Lord says, your body is my property. You have surrendered to me. Therefore, you have no longer any claim on your body. I am going to use your body as my principal instrument to spread Krishna consciousness throughout the world. Again, he repeated, third time, I want you to go to Vrindavan and write books. Through your books and through your lifestyle, I want you to establish the principles that a devotee must live by. Explain what is devotional service, what is Krishna, what is Krishna Prem, what is etiquette of Vaishnava, and the duties he must perform. How should those who are in round order of life live? I want you to excavate the holy places of pilgrimage in Vrindavan. And I want you to construct temples and preach. What I want in Mathura and Vrindavan, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying, I personally cannot do because my mother wants me to stay in Puri. So therefore, it's my plan to do it through your body. So that is the Lord is saying that's the reason of this body. My plan I want to execute through you. So that is how it is, beautiful. And then Jagadanand Pandit, he is one of the devotee. He advises Sanatana Goswami, you are feeling very bad when the Lord embraces you. So you just leave and go to Vrindavan. Anyways, now the Lord has given you the mission. So go. So he says, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that I'll leave. He says, no, there's no need for you to leave. No. Jagadanand Pandit is junior to you. He has no authority to give you such advice. Stay here. Then Lord Chaitanya's. So then Sanatana Goswami is saying, but what he's saying is true. Anyways, my body is contaminated and I contaminate you because every time you keep embracing me. So then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says nothing doing like that. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes to embrace him again. And this time when he embraces Sanatana Goswami, all the sores and the disease and everything is gone. And Sanatana Goswami regains his healthy, beautiful spirit, bodily form. With Brajvasis, Sanatana Goswami was always very dear, very, like a family man. He used to always ask them, how is your cow? How is your daughter? Is your daughter married? Is there any problem? How many children you have? So he was just like a family member. And all the Brajvasis used to treat him like their guru. And again, Jagadanand Pandit meets Sanatana Goswami in Vrindavan also. And they spend some time together through the different holy places. The Pilu fruit pastime. This is an interesting pastime where, Sanatana Goswami, when Jagadanand Pandit was leaving Vrindavan and going back to Lord Chaitanya, Sanatana Goswami gave him 4 gifts. This was some sand from the site of Ras Leela, a stone from Govardhan Hill, dry ripened Pilu fruits, and a garland of small conch shells. So all the gifts Chaitanya Mahaprabhu kept with himself. But the Pilu fruits he distributed among devotees to eat. So those devotees who knew what a Pilu fruit is, they sucked the seeds. But the others simply chewed the seeds and they were in terrible distress because the seeds of the Pilu fruit are hot like chilies. And the Lord Chaitanya was very happy to see this pastime. So for the pleasure of the Lord, but I found this Pilu fruit pastime, very interesting. And I have not even heard this, so I thought of sharing. And then Gopal Bhatta Goswami also arrives in Vrindavan, another great Vaishnava, and they get association. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is very happy seeing, he says, it is my desire that you live together as brothers in loving relationship and serve the mission of Vrindavan. Now we'll quickly touch, I know it's 5, but I'll just we'll touch the pastime because it would be very, without that it will be very, it's very sweet. Sanatana Goswami at Pavan Sarovar. So, okay. So he's at Pavan Sarovar and he's at a very remote place, doing his bhajan and all. So Krishna is very worried about this. So as Madan Gopal, he appears as a beautiful cowherd boy and he tells them that you are hungry and don't drink or eat anything. So I have got this milk for you. So he gives the milk. And as soon as the Sanatana Goswami starts drinking the milk, his heart erupts with, ecstasy. And he understands that the little boy was Madan Gopal. And then again Krishna comes in the form of that same boy and he says that we are very sad that you are living under this tree and we will be very happy if you have a hut, a bhajan kutir. So that was, so personally the Lord told him. That was the first time Sanatana Goswami accepted a bhajan kutir at Pavan Sarovar. To this very day on the banks of Pavan Sarovar in Vrindavan, we go to worship the bhajan kutir of Sanatana Goswami. Quickly touching more pastimes, Srimati Radharani offers sweet rice. This is very, very amazing. It is Sanatana Goswami's, appearance day, birthday. So Rupa Goswami, his younger brother, thinks that at least I should offer him some sweet rice. And the thought just comes and goes away. Now they are just doing madhukari. Where will they make sweet rice? So Radharani comes in the form of a small cowherd girl, and she gives all the ingredients needed to make sweet rice, and she goes away. So he thinks, nice, I thought, and this girl has given. So he makes and offers it to Krishna, Radha, and he then offers it to Sanatana Goswami. When Sanatana Goswami tastes the sweet rice, he's like, amazing. And then he gets some, doubt. So he asked, who gave you this? How you made this? So he said, some girl came. So he said, explain the features of that girl. And when Rupa Goswami explained, Sanatana Goswami is like, oh my God, what did you do? They are our worshipable. We are supposed to serve them and you are taking service from them. But The sweet rice was so sweet, ecstatically sweet, that he was saying that and simultaneously also eating the sweet rice. So that's how, the glory Sanatan Goswami. There is some instruction Raghunath Das Goswami also he gives to same thing to build a bhajan kutir. Because Raghunath Das Goswami is doing his sadhana and Krishna comes sometimes to save him from a tiger. Radharani comes and puts a veil of her sari to protect him from the hot sun. So he says, don't take service. They are our worshipable Lord. So please make a bhajan kutir. Then Raghunath Goswami, Das Goswami also makes a bhajan kutir. Real touchstone, this pastime we have often heard, we tell to our children also, that how, Lord Shiva's devotee, Lord Shiva tells, go to Sanatan Goswami, he has a touchstone. So he says, okay, he runs. So whatever he says, touchstone hai? Sanatan Goswami says, yes, it's lying in the garbage outside. So he takes the touchstone, he wonders that what he might be having something more valuable. Therefore, he has put the touchstone in the garbage. So Sanatan Goswami says, yes, I have something which is millions of times more valuable than this touchstone. First, throw away this touchstone in the Jamuna. And then he comes back, and then Sanatan Goswami, by his causeless mercy, gives him the Harinam, Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and the whole that a person gets completely, really he gets transformed by the touch of the touchstone of Sanatan Goswami. Braids of Srimati Radharani, Rup Goswami and Sanatan Goswami always had wonderful, discussions about the pastimes of Radha Krishna. So Rupa Goswami once said that he mentioned about Radharani's hair, and he mentioned that they are like black serpents. So Sanatan Goswami didn't feel that appropriate. So Rupa Goswami said, okay brother, then you only suggest how it is. So then when he's taking bath at Govind Kund, he sees some, gopikas, some gopi girls at a distance, playing in the waters of Govind Kund. And he sees that there are snakes, black snakes on their, backs. So he shouts, be careful, there are snakes. But one of the girls, she looks behind, she laughs and they disappear. So then Sanatan Goswami understands that actually what Rupa Goswami had written was correct, that her hair are like black serpents, they're wavy. We like straight and perm and iron hair, right? But Radharani's hair are like black serpents. Snake is never straight. It's always, wavy. So at least here, this pastime, she can do any hairstyle she wants. But at least in this pastime, that is how it was. And Lord Shiva's affection, mosquitoes. We are very well aware of the mosquitoes, So Sanatan Goswami doing his sadhana, but mosquitoes are troubling. And there is, nearby only there is Shivalingam, Chakaleshwar Mahadev in Vrindavan. So Sanatan Goswami decides, it's very difficult, mosquitoes are troubling me, I should just leave. So Lord Shiva comes in the form of a small boy and says, Baba, please don't go. He says, no, mosquitoes are troubling me. So he says, Baba, if today night also mosquitoes trouble you, then you go away tomorrow morning. So then Lord Shiva goes and he tells, the demigod who is in charge of insect life, keep the mosquitoes away from Chakratirtha, where he is doing Sanatan Goswami. So then Sanatan Goswami continues to live there. So actually I was reading that the pure devotees of the Lord, they have such beautiful qualities that even demigods want to come and take their association. So that is one, example we can see here. Lord Krishna gives Giriraj Shila. Sanatan Goswami always used to circumambulate Giriraj every day. So when he was getting old, it was getting very difficult. So Krishna himself came in the form of a cowherd boy, and he gave him a Giriraj Shila which had the lotus footprints of himself, of Krishna. And he says, Baba, just circumambulate this Shila and it will be as good as circumambulating Govardhan. So then Sanatan Goswami accepts the Shila. And these are just the names of the books, because this is one of the important mission statements, right, given to Sanatan Goswami. So Brihad Bhagavatamrita, Hari Bhakti Vilas, Darshana Tippani, and Dasham Charita. Among the many other literatures, these are the main 4 books written by him. And Sanatan Goswami, he leaves his body, and it was at Chakratirtha on Guru Purnima day that Srila Sanatan Goswami leaves his body. And we know that Guru Purnima is the day when there is the largest amount of Brajvasis, because they consider him as their Guru, doing parikrama, more than even on Kartik Purnima day. More crowd is there on Guru Purnima because their Guru left their body on that day. And we can pray to Sanatan Goswami for his the epitome of the quality which he is, that is humility. That we can also be humble servants of the servants of the servants of the Lord and his devotees and chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra with that mood. And I'll just read this because we are really short of time. But this is very important aspect as far as our bhakti goes, that he is the Sambandhacharya. Sambandh means establishing relationship. So our relationship with Krishna needs to, and his devotees needs to be established first. Only then we can progress on the path of bhakti. And therefore the Sambandha deity is also Radha Madan Mohan, which he worshipped. And Radha Madan Mohan first was installed by Vajranath. He was carved by Vishwakarma. Then with the flow of time he disappeared. Then he reappeared to Purushottam Chaube, and he was worshipping from Purushottam Chaube. He came to Sanatan Goswami, and Sanatan Goswami started worshipping him. So, and that's how he came. And then Madan Mohan temple, there's Krishnadas Kapoor, the famous merchant whose boat gets stuck in the Yamuna water. And then he comes up, Krishna comes and says, there is this Baba living on the top of this hill. He will help you to release your boat. So he goes, meets Sanatan Goswami, his life gets transformed, he surrenders. And then he's a merchant. So later on he goes to Agra and makes a big business. So he asks, come back to Sanatan Goswami, what can I do for you? So Sanatan Goswami says, I don't want anything, but Radha Madan Mohan should not live under a tree with me as I am living. So build a temple for him. So that is the first ever temple which was built, magnificent temple which was built in Vrindavan. That is Madan Mohan temple. But now, because of Mughal attack, Madan Mohan was taken and he was in Jaipur. The daughter of the Jaipur king got very much attached to Madan Mohan. Therefore, he was given as a dowry to her. She got married in Karoli. So from Vrindavan, he went to Jaipur. From Jaipur, now presently he is in Karoli. So that's where the original deity of Radha Madan Mohan is there. And this is the famous prayer to Shri Radha Madan Mohan. Jayatam Surato Pangor Mama Manmater Gati Mat Sarvas Padam Rojo Radha Madan Mohan. Glory to all merciful Radha and Madan Mohan. I am lame, ill-advised, yet they are my directors, Radha Madan Mohan, and their lotus feet are everything to me. Thank you, Hare Krishna. So sorry to go little, over time, but I really wanted to miss, these points a lot. As you see, I'm reading from a book. Yes, this is the book, Vrindavan Yatra, given in this book, and this had been my, kind of guide and shelter. So really, thank you very much for giving this opportunity, and sorry for running very fast towards the end, but I'm really grateful and thank you for giving this opportunity.